Hello and welcome to our show, The Talk with Tariro. Today on the program, we want to look at the Zimbabwean journey with COVID-19 and the progress that we have made so far when it comes to the issue of vaccines. For us as a country, when you're looking at Southern Africa, we are amongst the top in terms of how the government has rolled out vaccines. The government has responded to COVID-19. Though worryingly, there is still aspects of vaccine hesitancy. That's amongst us as Zimbabweans. Calls have been made to us to say, go and be vaccinated. And still we have a number of us who are still believing in these conspiracy theories. So today on the program, really looking at this issue, want to look at it from a social point of view, because the moment we continue hearing from medical practitioners, people are always saying, the doctors will tell us this, the doctors will what. So today we would want to really look at it from our own social point of view, where you as an ordinary person who's not a medical person watching us from home, myself not being a medical person, we are really looking at this issue to say, what are the benefits? How should we approach this whole issue? By not listening to the voices of reason of our medical practitioners, our Ministry of Health, COVID-19 Technical Committee, are we not doing more harm to ourselves than good? So we have Nyaradzo Vikimavindidze, who is a holistic leadership expert, and really we want to explore this issue. In the coming episodes, we're going to be inviting the medical practitioners now to then unpack the issues of vaccines for us. But today, what we want to do is to look at it from a social point of view. So Nyari, welcome to the talk.
Thank you, Terry, for having me.
Yes. From a social point of view, when you're looking at vaccine hesitancy, I would want to hear, in terms of hesitancy, what exactly are we talking about, linking particularly to the COVID-19 vaccine?
Okay. As a psychologist and a consultant, my take on the vaccine hesitancy starts even from a marketing perspective. You know that they're early adopters and then they're laggards. So whenever there's a new product that is launched on the market, you will always have early adopters and laggards. You have people who just take to the product and run with it. And then you always have laggards, and those are people who doubt. Those are the people who wait for other people and want to consider the conspiracy theories and everything that is being said. And some of them will never adopt. They will actually stay outside of that zone. But we always have early adopters. And I think that with the vaccine, just world over, in the beginning, there's just been hesitancy. Hence, we're having this conversation. So it's not just a Zimbabwean thing, but in Africa, in Europe, in America, in Australia, in Asia, in all 5 continents, there is an element of vaccine hesitancy. And it comes down basically to the natural makeup of people, risk takers, early adopters, and the laggards. And then we also have fence-sitters who really don't know and who couldn't be bothered. Then we also have issues of conviction like religion, religious practices that also affect and contribute to vaccine hesitancy. We also have an issue of politics that affects and contributes to vaccine hesitancy. And this is not just a Zimbabwean story. If I may say, actually, in Africa, when you look at the table and the graph, the last time I checked, Zimbabwe was actually a light green.
Yes.
Meaning Zimbabwe is actually way ahead of most, if not all, African countries in terms of vaccinations and adoption and even just the availability. As we talk right now, I was speaking to a colleague of mine last night, and I was just checking with him as I was preparing for this. He was telling me he might be vaccinated in August. And I'm like, dude, why? And he says, oh, well, because they're rolling out to the health sector and the essential services workers. And apparently, only less than a third of the South African essential services health workers especially have even been vaccinated.
Yes.
So there's that issue of hesitancy. So when we actually then look at it, obviously we can't compare. The other challenge that we have with comparisons on any scale, even the COVID comparisons, is we really can't compare the South African population with the Zimbabwean population, because they're approximately about 60 million or over, and we're a quarter of that in terms of population size. So we can't really compare. But generally, world over, I can say there's hesitancy.
You've spoken about having early adopters, having laggards. And when I'm looking at our experiences when we had the second wave, the number of people that we have lost. And when the vaccine came in, we had the vice president, who's also Minister of Health. We even had the president taking the lead in showing the nation to say, we have been vaccinated. Why would I want to become a laggard from a psychological point of view? How, when the top leadership in the country has taken the lead, but still we have laggards who are still saying, it's not safe?
So again, I'm not going to personalize this to Zimbabwe, but generally to the human psyche as a psychologist. From the onset of COVID, we've had a lot of conspiracy theories on why, who, and how COVID is. And those have carried on. So people already have their own convictions about COVID. Some are religious. Some believe that this is the coming and the introduction of the mark of the beast. Some believe that this is promoting big pharma, big pharmaceutical companies created the virus so that they can make money in order to exploit the masses. So there are different conspiracy theories around that. And more has to be done to challenge and cancel the conspiracy theories for us to do away with the hesitancy.
I want to then look at where more has to be done to convince me to save my own life. Join us after the break. We will continue with this discussion, where today our issue for discussion is the issue of vaccine hesitancy. Mainly we are looking at the COVID-19 vaccine that we have. Join us. Our discussion on vaccine hesitance continues. Before we went for the break in the first segment, Nyari was unpacking the issue of why the hesitance is actually there. We heard there are early adopters, there are laggards, there are a number of conspiracy theories that are there. And those are some of the aspects that are pushing us to be hesitant in terms of our uptake. Nyari, when we're looking at ourselves as a country, what we would want is eventually with vaccination is to have herd immunity. And herd immunity can only be achieved when bulk of us have been vaccinated. So how best can we address those, conspiracy theories that people have, the misgivings that people might have regarding the vaccine, all those, how can we address them? Because we do know a lot has already been done. Messages have been disseminated. Government, on its part, has done its part. It is on our part as individuals. How do we address that?
I think that personally, government has to do more. I think more should have been done before the vaccines came, because we knew that there are vaccines being made, brewed somewhere. And at that point, governments, not necessarily just our government, because the vaccine hesitancy is not just a Zimbabwean thing, like I said. So governments should have done more in terms of actual factual information dissemination.
The information has been there with the virus. Under normal circumstances, it takes about 18 18 months for a vaccine to then be there.
Yes.
So everything is in emergency mode. So I'm saying, when I know that everything is in emergency mode with COVID-19, so this has come in and still we are saying we are hesitant.
I think, Terry, maybe continued government engagement with the masses. On every mode, in every language, communication, mass outreaches. I'll tell you that my helper comes in the other day and I said to her, have you been vaccinated? And she has this theory, and to be honest, like you said, what can we do on an individual level? I felt hopeless. I don't feel, and I didn't feel there's anything I can actually tell her or begin to educate her to change her mind. She's already made her mind that she's not going to get vaccinated. She doesn't need to get vaccinated because of baseless theories. As I was looking at her and I was thinking, okay. I just was like, oh, okay. And I just carried on with my day. So I think there's a lot of information that needs to carry on going subliminally, overtly, covertly, just to every day in people's faces. The second thing is that opinion leaders like you, when you get vaccinated, you need to spread the gospel. I have colleagues, friends, and mates who've been vaccinated. I still ask around my circles, have you been vaccinated? And if I get a yes, I say, okay, how was your experience? How did you feel? Any side effects, any symptoms? How are you feeling? How have you been acting, engaging socially after you're vaccinated? Are you still wearing your mask? Are you still social distancing? Have you been exposed to the virus? What is going on around you? Have you had your second jab? And how is it? And it helps when we have those conversations to build confidence in the masses. So opinion leaders, teachers, every responsible person in society has to firstly have enough information. The problem that we're having as well is that even the opinion leaders are not convinced themselves. They also still have concerns and fears on why did it take this shorter period to get a vaccine, and
so they wanted it to take so long and then we are dying.
Yes, but the efficacy, the trial stages, have we finished the trial stages? Because the honest truth of the matter is this vaccine is good, but there's also some things that we don't know about it.
We would never know. That's where then I want to look at a person's mind, where if nothing had been done, we are saying we're going to take 18 months, people are still dying. It's a learning curve as we are going. So I would want them to then say,
we need to take out there.
Exactly, to then say, as an individual, because if I'm going to be saying, I'm going to look at Nyari and see, she's my role model, has she been vaccinated? But it's Nyari who's saving her life. What is my responsibility as an individual?
I think that our responsibility as individuals, firstly, is to look out for ourselves, for our loved ones, and for our communities. So we need to actually go out there and really take a double look, read, and fact check every information that is out there on COVID-19 and on the vaccine. Really get down to the bottom of it and find out if it's a fake website. A lot of these are fake news websites. So verify information. But unfortunately, not everyone has access to information or has the capacity to engage with facts and think on their own and verify information.
I definitely subscribe to the point that you are raising in terms of verifying information. Have you even noticed if there's a fake article on the vaccine, the way we are so keen to forward, it goes viral. The actual facts, factual information is not shared because we are still, so as a nation, I think we need to be challenging ourselves. We know it's a global challenge that's out there, but for us as Zimbabweans, considering the rollout that is already there, we need to be proactive and make sure we're protecting ourselves, we protect the next person. Just briefly, when we're looking at the benefits from a psychological point of view, what are those?
So the benefits, basically, I'll give an example. You said as an individual. Take somebody who lives in Beitbridge, in Chirundu, in Plumtree, in Mutare, and what's the Mutoko border post?
Yes,
Nyamapanda.
Nyamapanda.
you'll find that actually, on an aside, my personal observation, by the way, not verified, not factual, but just observation, I found vaccine uptake and the early adopters have been of a different economic, educational, and social scale. And it seems like people who are wealthier, who travel, who are more educated, have been vaccinated more. And they know the benefits of getting vaccinated. What we don't realize is that unless we reach the target of vaccinations and herd immunity, commerce and the economy will continue to be closed.
Exactly.
So those places that I mentioned, it would benefit them to actually get vaccinated in Beitbridge and Nyamapanda and Chirunde and all those places. Because when government feels that we have vaccinated enough people and we're reaching herd immunity, the lockdown restrictions will be lifted and the informal sector market will actually be able to transact, and cross-border and all the other informal forms of trading will be loosened and will be able to go. So it actually benefits. So maybe look at how it benefits you as an individual, your health, your loved ones, and your economy.
Well, we will continue with that discussion after the break. We had the benefits. Once we are vaccinated, herd immunity has been achieved. Those lockdowns might be a thing of the past. Do we still want to continue being locked down? So, food for thought. We will have medical practitioners who are going to be coming in and unpacking also some of the concerns that we have. Join us after the break. Welcome back as we continue with our discussion. Before we went for the break, we were unpacking the benefits of us being vaccinated. And these we are getting from a psychologist, leadership expert point of view. Nyari, could you continue with the benefit? Because what we would want is to move people from being laggards to really go and be vaccinated. Unpack for us more of those benefits.
So Tari, one of the major uproars we had when the lockdowns came in was, particularly for Africa and for Zimbabwe, was the economic side effects of a lockdown. We do know that a majority of the Zimbabwean population are in the informal sector, are self-employed and run small-scale, small to medium enterprises. So the lockdown clearly affected our major sectors, for example, the agriculture sector. So people from Mutoko can't come in their trucks to go and supply Mbare. Mbare had to be closed. And there was just a lot of run-ins with the law in terms of upholding, because people are trying to make a decision between economic survival or COVID survival. And they choose economic survival because they'll be saying, how can I starve? And we've had those conversations before, even on the show. So it would benefit a person in Bari, a person in Mutoko, a person like the border posts that I said. Cross-border traders really were affected by this. Albeit illegally, they're operating. Things are coming through the borders illegally. But I don't think that business has been as good. So livelihoods have been affected. So they would benefit if they went and got vaccinated, got their 2 jabs. Because at that point, I believe it will affect the rate of infections, the level even of illness. So we've had a lot of things that we've complained about as Zimbabweans. Oh, our health sector is not good enough. The government can't support. The hospitals don't have enough COVID care and support. So better get vaccinated so that you don't need to be hospitalized. So even when you do, if you do get infected, your symptoms are mild. You might not need a ventilator. Because right at the beginning, in the first quarter of the pandemic, it was like, oh, we don't have ventilators. So if you do think you need ventilators, the vaccine actually assists you. Because if we're saying the health sector in Zimbabwe is not doing as well as it should, it then benefits us for our own good to get vaccinated, so that we alleviate the pressure from the health sector, and so that we don't need to place ourselves in situations where we need the much needed healthcare that we personally don't believe is there. So I think it benefits us all, right from every space we're in, to get vaccinated. Because if you love yourself and you have dependents, you have a family, I have a family, I need to live my full lifespan to be able to take care of my children, meet my grandchildren, and nurture my great-grandchildren. So I have to survive COVID. So it's in my interest to get vaccinated.
So when we are looking at the key things that we need to know, what would you say those are?
Okay, the key things that we know for us to get vaccinated, and the facts. These are just really the facts that have been researched and that are really factual, is that actually COVID vaccines are safe and effective. So no matter what we hear out there, I would even boldly actually say, in my study as a layman, I actually like the Chinese vaccine, because the way it was made is similar to the way our traditional vaccines like BCG, polio, and measles have been made. It doesn't have technology, RMA, and anything. It's like a normal genetic vaccine that we had or our children had. So personally for me, it was very easy for me to take on the COVID vaccine because it's familiar, the way it was made. So I think that's the first thing that as Zimbabweans we need to know. Like you said, the doctors are going to come and show us and teach us how, and educate us on the actual medical aspects of vaccination. But as a layman, for me, I would choose the Chinese vaccine because of the way it was manufactured. So I think that's the most important fact to know about the vaccine. The next important fact to know about the vaccine is it's important to get the 2 full jabs, because when you get them after 2 weeks, that's when your immunity will start to kick in. So the first jab is not enough. And it's only after 2 weeks that the jab will start to kick in. We don't know how long you'll be immune for, because this is a new thing. It's not forever. But we know that you'll be immune for a certain period. So you still need to practice the precautions of social distancing, wearing your mask, and sanitizing whilst you're at it. So those are some of the important facts to consider.
So overall, when we're looking at a key message that you would want to give our viewers, looking at the issue of vaccine hesitancy, looking at where we are as a country, the benefits that you have spoken about, what would you say this should be a take-home message for Zimbabweans?
I think that polarization doesn't serve us as Zimbabweans. We must stop being polarized. This is not political. It's your life. So let's cast the politics aside and let's just really consider ourselves and our families and our economy. And secondly, I think that we should get the fact. It's not compulsory. Nobody's being forced to be vaccinated. So after having considered our religious obligations and beliefs, I would say facts only. Let's deal with the facts. So wherever you are, seek the facts and disseminate the facts. And whatever information comes to you that looks like a fact, double, triple, check it and make sure you have the facts.
Say that some more.
Double, triple, check any information and then only discuss and spread the facts.
Well, we got that message. I really liked the point that Nyari raised in terms of us needing to be checking information that we get. My friends know that I've told them, if you've got something that you're showing me that's negative towards the vaccine, that's aimed at discouraging me, and usually most of them you can actually see this is coming from a fake site, but people don't get that time to be verifying. What benefit are we giving to ourselves? So really when we're looking at vaccine hesitance, like what Nyari said, No one is being forced, but we have unpacked the benefits. So it's really food for thought for you. We don't know when COVID is going to be amongst us for. So it's important that you protect yourself, but at the same time, protect those who are around you. Until next week, and definitely we're going to be having medical practitioners who are now going to be giving us the nitty-gritties in terms of the vaccines. But we actually felt it's important that we also look at it from a social point of view, so that at least as laymen we do understand each other. Until next week, it's goodbye.